it's official. A lot more Alberta crude is headed for the coast, the heart of the opposition to the TMX pipeline.
So we're about turning off the spigot.
The project's complete, but they won't give up the fight.
So this is about stopping the money pipeline.
Aaron Collins traveled the full route of that pipeline from Edmonton to Burnaby, BC. Here's the third and final part of his journey as he breaks down the staunchest opposition to a polarizing project.
Trans Mountain's tank farm looms large atop Burnaby Mountain. Here for decades, it's bigger these days. More space needed to hold more oil coming down an expanded line. Burnaby is the end of the line for TMX, where all that oil hits tidewater and where opposition to the pipeline is strongest. The tank farm casts a shadow over some residents here.
So the tanks have always been here, but the issue now is there's more and they're bigger, and that's the worry.
Bigger,
yeah.
and the potential for a tank farm explosion and a fire, a fire from the tank farm.
Yeah.
What would we do?
Yeah, you're living this close. I mean, if that's your backyard.
Yeah, I call it the incineration zone.
Growing worries about all that fuel being stored on this mountain.
Would it take a disaster to change our dependence on fossil fuels?
This path, the heart of local opposition to TMX, a traditional Coast Salish watch house built as part of that resistance, still stands. Its elder still here, still fighting too, even as the oil starts flowing.
We will be out there with our boats. That's the final line with this stuff. You're going to try and ship that stuff. We'll be out there to stop you.
It's a long, hard-fought battle. Protesters here thought they'd won. They say the project's previous owner, Kinder Morgan Pipelines, was thinking twice. That's until Ottawa got involved.
The game changed when Trudeau jumped into it. We had stopped them. Kinder Morgan was pulling out of British Columbia and going back to Texas. We had stopped them, and then the federal government jumps in.
So the Canadian taxpayer owns Trans Mountain now, spending more than $30 billion to get the project finished. But these Burnaby residents say it wasn't just the feds that kept TMX alive. They say Canada's big banks helped bail out the project too, helping to keep TMX afloat while costs ballooned to nearly 5 times initial estimates.
So this is about stopping the money pipeline, because the only way these projects get to that bait and switch is by financing at the beginning.
And they say unless that changes, Canada will be unable to meet its looming climate goals.
So here we are, our bathtub of emissions is overflowing, and we're looking around for the mop and some towels, but we're not turning off the spigot. So we're about turning off the spigot.
Opponents of TMX still frustrated they were unable to stop the project, but resigned to the fact that ship has sailed. The marine terminal on Burrard Inlet now filling more tankers with oil from the line. Locals worried about what that means for this inlet and for the bridges that cross it.
I'm worried about the tanker taking out one of the pillars and spilling its contents, right?
This recent crash in Baltimore, a chilling reminder of what can go wrong. A cargo ship lost power, crashing into a bridge there, killing 6.
So triple the amount of hydrocarbons are going to come through your neighborhood, right to this marine terminal.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
Well, less safe. I must say that I had never thought of it before until they started building this and expanding it and wanting to bring more in, right?
Tanker traffic to the Trans Mountain terminal is going to dramatically increase from about 1 per week to about 1 a day. A big jump, more big ships on the water more often. We wanted to see for ourselves what that looked like. So we hit the water with a local conservation group.
What goes through your mind when you see like a tanker of that size sitting so close to people that are, crabbing?
Yeah, I mean, and I know like the Tsleil-Waututh Nation has been doing a lot of work to try to restore Burrard Inlet, and so much work that they've been doing could be so quickly undone by one little spill or accident.
Of course, spills aren't the only threat caused by the increase in traffic here. More ships, a symptom of more demand for oil. For now, a necessity even among those who oppose fossil fuels.
It would be awesome if this boat had an electric engine on it, and that's the kind of thing we'd love to work towards. And so, yeah, no, we're not going to stop right now. And of course, I drove a truck to get this boat here as well. So, yeah, it's about kind of working together on making that transition in a good way, I think. And not leaving those folks in Alberta behind either.
Noise from the ships could make life harder for killer whales in the area, too. Researchers have looked into how noisy tankers are affecting orcapods.
When you're a whale and you're echolocating, you're sending sonar signals for food, and you're listening for the echoes to be able to figure out where the fish is. You have a space that is greatly reduced with underwater noise.
All that extra noise makes it harder for the whales to hunt. Having ships slow down or use quieter engines can help minimize the impact, but this scientist says it's not enough.
So what's it like for a killer whale to be out in the water with all that extra tanker traffic?
The best analogy I can give is that of navigating in a sort of acoustic fog or acoustic smog. It is the same as for people to be trying to find each other in very, very thick smog or fog.
And of course, spills are a big worry for marine life too, an uneasiness rooted in recent experience.
In 2007, we had a pipeline rupture because of a construction operation just behind me here. And that sent tens of thousands of gallons of crude oil into Burrard Inlet, into the waters around this terminal. So these spills happen.
So more oil is now flowing here in Burrard Inlet. How people feel about that often depends on where they sit along that line. Embracing the economic benefits in Edson,
I believe it's still absolutely essential to us.
To agonizing about the environmental impact in Burnaby.
The fact that that ship has sailed is a tremendous disappointment.
And now that the crude is moving, there's likely only one way to slow it down: use less.
Part of the journey around the pipeline to me is trying to empower a sense that each individual in this area has a role to play, has an opportunity to weigh in and reduce our collective footprints in the greater Salish Sea.
An understanding that no matter which side of the pipeline divide you sit, it's here to stay, at least until we stop needing it.
Aaron, thanks for this story. I feel like we've been on this journey with you. I'm curious, the TMX has been characterized, I suppose, as Canada's last big pipeline project. But how fair is that?
Adrian, after more than a decade to get to this point, to get this one built, you'd think that would be fair. But here's the thing, demand for oil, it's still creeping up. And really, that's been the case for as long as we've been using hydrocarbons to get around and power things in our society. Now, don't get me wrong, that could change. There's predictions out there that it will, but so far it hasn't. And until that demand comes down, someone's probably going to try to make a buck meeting it, and that probably means a pipeline. And some smart folks that I've spoken with, they think that climate change means that the next big pipeline fight might be over moving oil north to the Arctic.
Okay, that's interesting, but what will be different with the next one, though?
Well, I think a few things are going to be different, right? So this was a hard project to get done. The federal government had to step in and buy it, and I'm not suggesting that that's going to happen again, but some of the changes to the regulations around building a project like this are here for good. So if you look at the skyrocketing costs of this line, a lot of it had to do with more consultation with First Nations, more sensitivity around environmental issues, and I think those considerations are here to stay, which likely means any future pipelines built in Canada, they're going to take a long time and they're going to cost a lot of money to build.
All right, Aaron Collins in Calgary, thank you.
You bet.